All right, so unfortunately, Calvin Kattar's losing streak continues with yet another one. I think that's 4 in a row, plus a really bad injury that happened. Although Youseff Zalal was very complimentary, and I agree, that's why I wanted to see Calvin win. You don't like to see these staples to the division come and go. You just remember Calvin Kattar used to be just a dude who had such a force to him. He didn't win all of them, but he was really good. In fact, if you look back at that Zabit fight, the 3-rounder main event, if that was a 5-rounder, I think Calvin Kattar could have won that. So it's a big if things just worked out differently. Had they not given that decision to Josh Emmett, what would have gone down? You think about these things. One robbery from the judges even can change the trajectory of a whole career. And Calvin Kattar's skid continues. And I don't know how contract negotiations are going to go away. But you know what? There have been guys like Cody Garbrandt who have been on streaks too. And what goes down is they lose a bunch of fights back-to-back and they're still in the UFC. So, hey, they might keep Calvin around, but I think it's only going down from here. Because it's just, you got to face the music. I don't like to say it. I don't like to be a naysayer for anyone. Now, Calvin could obviously bounce back against a non-ranked dude. He'll be in the number 12 or something spot, gatekeeping until he's a non-ranked gatekeeper. And then I think that's going to be it. Unless they just decide to release him right now. I hope they don't. I just feel like he's been given such a bad break. But Youseff Zalal is now one of the guys in the division to take his place. And you know what? He didn't completely blow Calvin Kattar out of the water. Calvin maintained his composure, but Zalal stayed one step ahead that entire fight. It was just a really smart thing, but he had a tendency of leaving his hands down, which I think might come back and be, the end of his streak as he climbs the ranks. Because he is fighting Brian Ortega next. Not the best, he's supposed to be. That's who he called out. So with Brian Ortega, obviously Brian Ortega's boxing and striking are better than people want to give it credit for. So I think even Ortega could very well get a good clip because Zalal doesn't have Diego Lopez power of knockout or Yair Rodriguez. So it's an if. And honestly, if those guys were to go at it, Ortega, I feel like, would definitely be an even bigger test at this point. So for Ortega, he would definitely be able to get it to the ground. I think he'd out-grapple Youseff. But maybe if Youseff kept it on the feet and took his time, but I don't think he's going to be KO powering Ortega anytime soon. I think Ortega's jaw is that far gone. But that is an interesting fight because Ortega is one of those guys right now where we're looking at him. And yeah, he's fought the best of the best. He had those 2 fights with Yair Rodriguez and then Diego Lopez, obviously. But those are some of the best that they have to offer. So if you had Ortega go against Josh Emmett, what goes down? Or if you had Ortega go against, actually I think if Josh Emmett hit Ortega with something fierce, it would be Emmett winning. But if Ortega went against Youseff Zalal, stylistically, I think he's got a shot at winning that one. So I don't know if Zalal is going to get through Ortega. His best bet would definitely be to work on keeping his hands up. Otherwise, even Ortega could beat him by knockout. So, and Ortega has knocked out people before. It's not very often anymore, but it is very possible. So we'll have to wait and see where all that goes. Where is it all going to go? But yeah, no, definitely Ortega versus Youseff Zalal is going to be next on the table. For Calvin Kattar, I don't know where he's going to go at this point. It's upsetting. I mean, there's probably going to be some bantamweight guys. Maybe him versus Mario Bautista would probably be a good one, or him versus who else is coming up at featherweight right now? Or has stake Kyler Phillips. He needs a bounce back. I don't know if any of those guys have actually fought yet, but we'll wait and see. I mean, there's a lot of matchups for Calvin Kattar if they decide to keep him around. But man, it's not how I wanted the co-main event to go, but I'm going to be mixing and matching potential timelines that could go down with what we got to work with. But that's what I got to say. Calvin Kattar, keep your chin up. They might keep you around. Who knows? I'm probably looking at this as the worst case scenario because I just expect the worst from Dana White and his big wigs. But other than that, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out. Cheers.